Unfortunately, every client that we've had go through this program has been a disaster. You are now in the hands of a contractor which you did not hire. You don't have a choice. And you are forced to now sit down through this process of rebuilding your home or your property back together with somebody that you really didn't want to hire in the first place. It becomes not only a financial burden, but also becomes an emotional burden. And then eventually, once the money runs out from if they're paying for your loss of use, you're going into heavy debt. When your insurance company exercises the right to repair and hires their own contractor, it is very possible for this to go very wrong. They're making people homeless. Like it's disturbing to say and to see, but it's just a matter of fact.
You are listening to the Insurance Corner podcast. This podcast is presented by Florida Public Adjusting. Tune in to get tips, information, and valuable pieces of advice on how to best handle common problems homeowners face with insurance providers.
In today's episode, we are going to discuss something that is hidden inside your insurance policy, and it is called the Managed Repair Program. It allows the insurance company to hire a contractor to do the repairs to your property after you have suffered a loss. When your insurance company exercises the right to repair and hires their own contractor, it is very possible for this to go very wrong. What is the Managed Repair Program? The Managed Repair Program is simply when you have an insurance claim, you call your insurance company, you file a claim. Your insurance company then sends their contractor to your house to fix the damage in your property, regardless if you like them or not. That's exactly what will happen when they exercise the right to repair. In your policy, you have an endorsement called the right to repair, which means that the insurance company has an option whether they would write you a check for the damages that you have sustained, or if they would like to exercise this right to repair and send a contractor to your house to fix the damages that you sustained. You are now in the hands of a contractor which you did not hire. You don't have a choice. And you are forced to now sit down through this process of rebuilding your home or your property back together with somebody that you really didn't want to hire in the first place. Unfortunately, every client that we've had go through this program that they put in place has been a disaster. You're not hiring the contractor, so you have no relationship with the contractor. You're just another number on their list that has to get completed. And the workmanship and materials don't really play a factor in it because you're not the one paying them, the carrier is. And so at the same time, they'll have a budget, but they would also want to maximize on every single item that they have at your house that they have to fix. So what that would entail is either poor workmanship, trying to get it done quickly, or even what in some cases, actually most cases, we've seen they will buy cheaper material so that they could have a higher profit at the end of the day. There are insurance companies which are more commonly known to exercise this Managed Repair Program. You would have to make a decision when buying a new policy for your property, which insurance company to choose to insure your home and which ones not. So you do have an option on that. Even though most policies, if not all policies, a residential property would have this endorsement, not every insurance company chooses to exercise it. So I think that's very important when shopping for a policy to make sure that you are aware of what is inside the policy. And sometimes that famous saying of penny wise, pound foolish comes into play over here. I've seen policies for an $80 a year savings. This endorsement is being applied. And $80 a year, do the math, it's a couple dollars a month that you're saving. It's really just the agent not really telling you exactly what to look out for when shopping for an insurance policy. Agents today are selling you whatever they're going to get the highest commission on. And it's just a matter of fact. If you would have asked somebody back in the 60s about their insurance agent and that they were like an accountant to them, so they would, have their best interest at heart and try and help them as best they can. Today, agents just sell whatever sticks. If you're not aware of what you're signing and what you're purchasing, then you're setting yourself up for failure because at the end of the day, it's just it could be a large financial burden on you, and you pay your policy. So it's not like you're not paying your policy. You're paying your policy thinking that you have the proper coverages, but you really don't. So just be cautious and just be aware of what you're getting yourself into when purchasing an insurance policy from any agent, whoever it is. Let's go through some just quick basic steps on how this could affect you financially, emotionally, stability-wise. It gets into marriage problems, you name it. Like, I've heard it all. You have damage to your property. You file an insurance claim through your insurance carrier. The insurance company then goes ahead and sends their own contractor to your property. The insurance company is taking it upon themselves to hire whoever it is that they choose that should walk into your house. Whether you like them or not, whether they're safe around your family or not, whether, they are going to be respectful of your property or not. Not only do you not, have the choice of the person that you want to hire. And look, I've had work done at my property, and there are people that I've interviewed and I just chose not to like them. I didn't choose not to like them. They were not likable and I chose not to use them. And I didn't trust them, and I didn't trust the work that they were presenting to me. And I had the choice to send them and choose the person that I want to touch my house, to fix the damages to my property. This is one of the biggest problems that we've seen with this program, because they're hiring incompetent people to come into your house and do their work without doing their proper research on who these contractors are. And as a result, you're the one that's going to suffer, because at the end of the day, it's your dime, and these are large insurance companies with a lot of backup, and you're just left by yourself. It becomes, not only a financial burden, but it also becomes an emotional burden. And then eventually, once the money runs out from if they're paying for your loss of use, you're going into heavy debt, because you now have a mortgage company and you have rental, and you're trying to work while manage their contractors, because they're not managing their contractors. They don't even know if they show up or not. And the contractors, I've seen it so many times where the contractor's like, yeah, I was there. I was there. I was there. He wasn't there. I waited at the property for the contractor. They never showed up. It's very important when you have an insurance claim and the insurance company wants to exercise this right to repair or this managed repair program, that you have representation on your side in order to try and facilitate these repairs being done as quickly as possible. There is no way to fight it. If the insurance company wants to do the right to repair, they have the right to repair. If they do shoddy work and poor workmanship, well, then they'll still wash their hands, and then you're going to have to go after the contractors. It's important to have representation. We are on top of the carrier and their contractors to make sure that they're not lying. Not a single job that the insurance carrier has started did they pull permits. And some of these projects that we were on, and again, we're not on every single project that they do, but just the few that we were on, they weren't doing the job correctly from the get-go. Say you have a broken pipe under the slab. Now the slab needs to be accessed in order for the line to be replaced. You can't just hire somebody to go in there and start trenching your house, because the city's going to have issues with that and they're going to shut down the project until you pull the proper permits for the contractors to start doing the work, so the cities are able to inspect it and then sign off on it, showing that the work is good, and then move forward. Now, how does this affect the policyholder? When you have an insurance company coming in and doing the work, most policies will have something called loss of use. So if you're doing extensive work where the house is uninhabitable, you're going to have to leave. And you have in your policy a coverage that takes care of that. Now, usually it's limited to about 10% of what your policy is. That's normal. Sometimes you could have extra coverage if you decide to choose it, but normally it's about 10% of what your dwelling coverage is. So that's coverage A. And if the job is prolonged, even as a result of the negligence of the contractor or the insurance company, you now are living outside of your house, depending on these payments from your coverage B, depending on what the rent is. Rent today, if you go get a 3-bedroom house, which is just a normal, an average home, it's about $3,500. So you have about 10 months. Now, the insurance company delays the claim because they didn't do the work correctly. Or let me just state that the insurance company's contractors delay the claim because it wasn't done correctly. And so now the clock starts ticking. Now, the moment that is exhausted, that coverage where you're living outside your house and you're depending on those payments, because not only are you paying now rent, but you also have a mortgage that you have to pay for with taxes and insurance and whatever extra expenses that you're going to have to incur because you're not staying at home. Well, now that clock is ticking pretty quickly. And if it's 3, 4, 5 months delayed, if it goes over that coverage, well, now you're paying out of pocket. And then trying to tell the insurance company, well, it's as a result of your contractors. Well, there's really no recourse. They say, well, your coverage is exhausted and there's nothing we could do. Not all insurance contractors are bad, but we haven't seen any good ones. And the ones that we have dealt with, we have people that are out of their house, and it's not as a result of us. This is even before they contact us, that they've been going through this program for over 2 years, and the insurance carrier has not brought them back to a livable condition. They're making people homeless. Like it's disturbing to say and to see, but it's just a matter of fact. How can a public adjuster help when your insurance carrier chooses to exercise the right to repair and sends a contractor to your house? At first, the insurance company will send out their adjuster. Sometimes they'll come out with a contractor. We will help facilitate the inspections, make sure that the scope of repairs are correct and not what the insurance company believes that the scope of repairs are needed, which is sometimes night and day. For instance, they had just baseboards and drywall on a project that they wanted to do the repairs on. But meanwhile, they were missing the flooring, the kitchen cabinets, and the bathrooms. So you're looking at maybe a $10,000 job for a contractor. However, the scope of work was really in excess of $150,000. So that's one of the things that you would benefit from a public adjuster while the insurance company is exercising their right to repair. They'll also use their own mitigation companies. So they just go in there, throw equipment into your house. The quality of the restoration or the mitigation work is, I wouldn't even call it subpar. But regardless, they have the right to do that as well. So they exercise that, and you don't really have an option. And so everything sounds pretty okay as I'm discussing it now and I'm going over it. But then as the time passes on, it just continues to get worse and worse. If you're going through this, it's very beneficial to have proper representation, because at the same time, while you're doing your job and you're going through your day-to-day, we're here to document it. We're here to put down pen to paper to show exactly what the insurance company is doing wrong and what their contractors are doing wrong and what needs to be remedied. Now, once you have a paper trail, you have more of an argument to try and at least say, hey, listen, we gave you the opportunity to do it. You failed multiple times. We tried again. You failed again. It's time to pay. And we've been successful in the past where, if that has occurred, we've recovered checks, and then you are then able to go hire your own contractor and do the repairs correctly. The next thing that will come to mind is that we are on top of the carrier and their contractors to make sure that they're not lying. If they say that they're going to be there, they have to be there. If they're not, they don't show up and they say that we're there anyways, well, we have it documented because we were there and we are there. When, an average homeowner goes through a loss, they also have a job they have to attend to, and they can't babysit contractors. And that's something that we put in place to make sure that the work is being done correctly. Every contracting job, if it's done correctly, you need to have a supervisor there. The insurance company says there are supervisors there, but on any of their jobs that we've attended, they were nowhere to be found. So documenting all of this while dealing with your insurance carrier, it could be stressful if you do it alone. And not just stressful, but it would probably fall through the cracks, and you're just taking their word for it until eventually the lies catch up, and then you lose your mind, and then okay, I need to get some representation. Having representation from the beginning is the best bet, so that you don't waste time. Everything is documented correctly. And unfortunately, when you document things correctly and they screw up again and again and again, and then you try and have them fix it, and then there's again negligence on it, well, then now you have a case to go against them. Are you able to sue the insurance company if they don't do good work? Well, they wash their hands pretty nicely, and they try to give up liability and blame it on the contractor now, even though they were the ones that allowed them into your house to begin with. So it is an issue that even because it's a fairly new program that is widely exercised, the results on that is we're not there yet. It's important to have representation, even if you're going through this contractor connection thing that Citizen set up, or the right to repair with your insurance company. Representation is always beneficial. We had a client that the insurance company, the Heritage Insurance Company, decided that they wanted to do the option to repair. The homeowner was undergoing chemotherapy at the time. They had to leave their house because the insurance company demoed some of the areas without properly setting up containments to dust barriers in order to contain the debris, coating of dust and toxic material throughout the house. So this particular individual had to leave because they were undergoing chemotherapy for cancer treatment. And when I got there, which was a few months after she's already gone through most of the process, and just hearing the story was just, the contractor never showed up. Then when they showed up, they didn't do anything. They didn't do much. And then they kept on saying that they didn't have a key, but she left a lockbox. I got into the house using the same lockbox. The key was there. At the end of the day, we sent our estimate in and we said, look, we're not going to, give you an option because this is a life or death issue. And they're already going through something that they, unfortunately have to go through. Pay the claim. And they ended up doing it. So, there are times where, if they're caught, being really out of whack, if they get, they understand that they have to take action. We have a client now currently that is still dealing with the same mess, and it's been 3 years, and attorneys got involved, and the insurance carrier is not moving the needle. Let me just give you a background of how the loss occurred. They have a broken pipe, cast iron line underneath the slab. Now, according to your insurance policy, which is 100% correct, they are not responsible for the actual line that was affected because it was denied under wear and tear. So the pipe itself is not covered, right? And we are all in agreement with that it is the homeowner's responsibility to replace that pipe. Now, this is where it gets confusing. Or not confusing, it's pretty simple and black and white. However, the insurance company is confusing the issues with the facts. The fact is, we are in agreement that the insured has to pay for the pipes, but you, as the insurance carrier, would have to pay for the access. Now, the insurance company does not want to hire somebody to do the access because they keep on saying, almost like a broken record, well, you're responsible for the pipe. Well, I said, open the floor and then we will replace the pipe. We are still sitting 3 years later, and they're in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom home. So you can imagine the stress that they've been living under raising kids with a house that the insurance company wants to take it into their own hands and just not do anything. These are people who agreed to use the program set forth by the insurance carrier and now are paying the price for doing so.